Hold on a second here. I think we might have an issue. Hold on. Hold on. Hey guys, this is Jimmy Smith and welcome to the Big Show. Tonight, get ready for a hilarious yet heartfelt episode of Dad Talk Today, the Big Show, where we tackle the wild world of fatherhood with humor and real talk. This week's lineup includes everything from surviving diaper disasters, embracing the dad bod, and hilarious DIY fails to managing your teenager's mood swings and battling over screen time. We'll dive into serious topics like co-parenting, staying healthy, and teaching kids about money. And working out too! But not without a few dad jokes along the way. Tune in for the perfect mix of laughter, lessons, and life as a modern dad. Next to me, my co-host. Where do our co-hosts go? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Big Show, the Average Show. We don't know what the heck's going on, but I am your now host, Dwayne Ward. I hope you enjoyed the intro. Jimmy is actually out of town this week, and we'll assume this is the first and last time ever that he'll ever let me do this, but he actually gave me the ability or the permission, I guess, to go ahead and do the first ever live show as a host, and he is regretting that decision right now. But again, I wanted to thank you all and welcome to the show. I'm sorry. I've been, ever since this became available, I've been plotting and planning, and just to give you a little behind the scenes, here. And I've been, you have no idea how long I've been waiting to do this. And actually, as far as behind the scenes, Jimmy called me about a half hour before the show started, and just to kind of check up on me and make sure that I'm okay. I'm not nervous. I'm not going to have any issues or anything. And it took everything to keep that from him to make sure that this was the first thing. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. Just take some comment. I'm gonna look at some of the comments here. I'm hoping that it was well received, and he's not on a flight now to come kill me. We got Todd saying the village people are still killing it. Yeah, yeah, number of folks are commenting on that. I take requests, and the village people. I may end up doing a little village people thing here. I did want to, just kind of want to talk about before we get into the show, which tonight, is laughs, lessons, and life as a dad. I'm a dad. I'm hoping that was a good laugh. But we will get into, some of the serious stuff. But I did want to talk about, with Jimmy being out of town. As you know, you guys probably don't know, But I guess I think it was about 6 months ago, Jimmy got to do a photo shoot, but he's actually out of town right now. Anyway, he's out of town right now, and doing some interviews and whatnot. But he's actually, well, I want to go ahead and kind of show off what we have here, where he's at. But hopefully, you all enjoy this. Okay, enough of that. Actually, I do have potentially a few more things planned. We'll see how that goes. But I want to go ahead and kind of dive into the show tonight, which is again, laughs, lessons, lives with Dad. Let's go ahead and kind of walk through. Oops, I hit the wrong button. I'm actually used to doing some of these things behind the scenes, but let's go ahead and look at some of the what our topics will be for tonight. Do different things, so you might see a little bit some jumping there. But let's go ahead and kind of dive into it here. Let's see here. Let me share my screen and get right into it. All right. So let me hit the right one here. So let me. It's going to take a few seconds here trying to get everything right. There's a lot of screens, a lot of things moving around at one time. But we all know how the media portrays fathers. I mean, we in popular media on TV, we see the dumb dad, the dad that doesn't know anything. You have, of course, Homer Simpson, one. You got, oh God, I think it's Kyle from South Park. And then you got the Connors. And they all, were always being presented as idiots. And this is probably no new news to you. There's a persistent myth out there that women are better than men at multitasking, kind of going in a different direction. And I did some digging around, and I did find, I need to move my picture here a little bit. Wrong one there. There we go. Yeah, a little bit of bouncing around here. But I did some research on this, and I found actually, that myth of dads not being able to multitask, or men in general. And this Dr. Kavitha P., she had actually cited some research that there's really no significant difference between fathers, or from men and women, when it comes to multitasking. We have the whole thing where women will say a lot of times that dads, they can only do one thing at a time, and it's unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but it's just not true. I bring up kind of a funny story back from 2015. We had a dad who was at I think it was at the Houston. I'm not a big sports guy, so you'll have to forgive me. Probably need to bring Jimmy back for that one. But we had a guy is like back in 2015 at it was a Texas Rangers game. I had to kind of remember that. But to show the multitaskingness of dads, is he was sitting down, had his little, I think 6-month-old in his arms, and a pop fly came out, and he picked his hand up with the baby in hand, grabbed the ball, and did it. So, out of all the scientific research, that one pretty well shows that dads are able to multitask. But and I couldn't get this thing to work 100% right, but we'll have to kind of bear with me here. But want to kind of move over into how, dads, were just as important to moms. In today's society, what ends up happening is that moms are given all the accolades, and they're thought of, and dads are really thought of as just kind of along for the ride. And I kind of wanted to talk to that, and kind of just provide some education, potentially a little humor here. But, dads are along for more than the ride. We were, in with the creation of the child. I was hoping the audio. There was supposed to be some sensual music playing with that censored item. Unfortunately, it's the fun of real time. You have to use your imaginations with that. But another thing is that kids get see, and I have my things going all over the place here. But when a child is created, this kind of gives the scientific breakdown of that. The mom contributes the XX chromosome, dad contributes the XY chromosome, and it gets split. So what I'm wanting to talk about, or wanting to express here, is that when a baby is made, however that's done, that it's actually comes 50% from the mother, 50% from the father. Oh, there we go. Trying to move things. Looking at different screens here. So other things that the father actually determines, and it's solely the father based on the research and the data that we have, is that fathers actually determine the baby's biological sex. In addition to that, they determine their height. So, for people that have, tall children, they got that from their dads. Short children got that from the dad. The wide-linked inheritance. This is actually, I talk more about sons here, but they have hypertrichosis. I'm pulling a Jimmy here. It's when they have excessive hair growth on the outer ear. So I can blame my dad for that. And then they have, I don't even pronounce that one, but another thing they get is webbed toes. So they have that deformity of webbed toes, that they get that exclusively from the father. And then chromosome infertility, they get that from the male sperm production as well. So, you can thank a dad for that one. Some of the other things that that fathers give their kids, and again, I'm just reporting the data here, so you can do with it what you want, is we are the ones that determine a child's fat storage. So for all the ladies out there that are fat, be mad your dad's, not your mom's. This is where it comes from. But also, in addition to that, we determine for our kids heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, and metabolic syndrome. The other thing that I found noteworthy here is that we also pass down different personality traits to our kids. So I would say for the ladies out there, that when you look at your kids and you go, you're just like your father, well, we have scientific research that backs that up, that that's where it comes from. Okay, let's see. Moving forward here. There we go. Another thing, this came out 14 or 10, 30, like 11 years ago, but I actually just came across that and I kind of wanted to talk about it. But also that during pregnancy, the father actually contributes to the the fetal side of the placenta. They contribute to the placenta. And I've done a lot of research in this area. I'm again a pro-life person, and I always review all the data and the research. And I actually hadn't come across this information before, but I found it very interesting that it was that the fathers actually do that. And actually, I saw Jimmy for some, he's in the comments here. All ladies out there that are fat, blame your father. That's true. So yeah, always do that. We got Chuck in the house. What's up, Chuck D? We're going to go through here. Oh, we got a can't hear me. Oh, hopefully everyone can hear me. I can put a comment in there that I can or can't be heard. Everything shows correct on this side, that everything's working right. Okay, well, I'll continue on here, and hopefully everyone can hear me. Everything I'm showing on my side shows that everything is working the way it's supposed to. But I did want to, again, talk about the whole placenta piece. Again, we talk about, again, men not being as important to the upbringing or the creation of the child and all that. But we do have, we contribute a lot to that. And, just kind of want to say to everybody, yeah, science, bitch. Okay, and I do want to get real for a moment, and it wouldn't be me being involved with this if I didn't do a little bit of this, and it's just the way it is, and this is just kind of who I am. we talk about when parents split up and when divorces happen, that the father's not needed. I mean, we've all heard that we're nothing more than a paycheck. The moms contribute so much to the well-being, and that fathers don't contribute anything. And again, the research is out there that I mean, we've all heard this before, and the research is out there that fathers actually, when in a divorce situation, when parents split up, that the father, and when a child raised in a father's home, they actually do better in all the markers that we have as far as adjusting, future emotional development, and all those different areas. This actually article from the Oklahoma talks about that. Now, what was interesting about it, I think it's more of a left-leaning article or organization, but they talk about that. They talked about Dr. Warren Farrell and his research, confirming that information that from the studies that we have. But it does say that imply that men are better as fathers and women are as mothers, and it's not meant to paint mothers in a negative light. I know there's going to be people that just can't get away from we're trying to female bash, but I'm just stating the statistics and the data, and then people are able to take what they want to from that. Another article actually is a members only behind a paywall, but that confirming the information is that single father households do vastly better than single mother households. And they talked in the article about the real reasons why, and they gave a bunch of because men are bad, and the things that we've come to know over the years. But at the end of the day, from all the studies that we've done, that when we have divorce situations, that they do fare better. Now, I do have a video here from Ann Coulter on a interview she did some years ago with a father. I can't remember Father Albert some years ago, where she, in her book Demonic, which I should have had that book ready to go. Actually, I bought the book a while back, but she walks through that when when a baby's in the womb, and I don't want to quote too much of it here, but the baby, the best thing you can do for a child is to have them in a male and female household. When I was talking earlier about the data and the statistics about single fatherhood homes and how they fare better, it's not really, and I want to make this point clear, that it's not really to bash women. It's that women want to, again, they initiate divorce 70-80% of the time from the data that we have. And then they want to say that, men aren't necessary. And this data, why I'm offering a lot of this data, is to show that, well, in actuality, if you want to get right down to it, the men are the ones that were able to better raise the children according to the statistics. My ultimate goal, though, and I hope this comes across very clearly, is that the ideal situation is a husband and wife, a man and woman, raising their children together, because they would get the best of both worlds. Men can't as effectively raise a child with this characteristics of the mother, and vice versa. And my hope and goal is that all families are going to raise their children in an intact home. When that doesn't happen, unfortunately, we do have statistics that show that. But I did want to show this quick video clip from Ann Coulter, and you can kind of hear it in her own words. Hopefully the audio will play through. We'll see how that goes.
But a woman who gets pregnant out of wedlock,
apparently is not. So I'm having all kinds of, let me see if I can get, no, it is not playing at all, or it's not the audio. Having all kinds of technical issues here. Let's see if I can swing that now. All right, I'm going to move on. I'll try and make that available afterwards. Again, this live show, all these fun things happen. And I'm using StreamYard. Okay. I want to move over into, how fathers work and the way we do things in the household. I do believe that we are equal, but at the same time, the data and the statistics show that men do work harder outside of the home than women do. I know this is going to, actually I got some comments here. Oh, the first agenda. Okay. Yeah. I apologize. Yeah. That's a whole other issue. Okay. Yeah. One of the issues with using different software packages. Anyway, with the men working harder than women outside the home, again, it's not meant. A lot of the things that I say, I know that a lot of people get upset with. That I'm bashing women, that I'm talking down to them. And to be frank, sometimes I am, but it's only in response to listening to women tell me that men are worthless. And unfortunately, I'm able to bring the receipts of data and information. And unfortunately, the weak-minded people that offer these arguments, unfortunately, they don't have a response outside of saying I'm mean. And that's just kind of how that goes. But on the topic here of men working hard outside of the home, we do have information. And I clipped this specifically because it was funny where it came from. The website is actually from the Independent Women's Forum. Thought that was interesting that, that they were providing this information. It sounds like it's very unbiased, but they did do, they pulled from the government research that we had that shows that women really do work longer and harder at their jobs than women. And we have the statistical data here. All this is from the CDC or government locations. But it shows here again that men will work overtime more often than women. We work harder. We work longer hours. Again, it just shows that. And again, when we have people that are upset that I'm saying these things and I'm bashing women, I want it understood yet again that I'm not bashing women. I'm offering this to combat the women and simps and people that will then say men are worthless and we're useless and we don't contribute and we're idiots and we're the the donut eating Simpsons family style fathers. We're not. We contribute to the family. And what we'll say that women won't say is that we think that you contribute to the family as well. But when you come at us and tell us that we're worthless, we have to get the data and show that we're not. So we have that. Oh, I got a question out there. Let's go ahead and take a question. What do you think of Enigma Records' 1986 Poison's first record, Look What the Cat Dragged In? Wow, that's really out in left field, but I can't resist a question about Look What the Cat Dragged In from Poison. I was a huge fan of Poison. Did not do the hair though, but I did. I do like that entire album. So GF, just to let you know, there's your question is answered. Okay. Yeah, and I did occur. Now I'm a little off. My feng shui is a little off here, but just kind of wanted to show that. Well, apparently show nothing. Why? There we go. And I was supposed to have some audio there, but I just want to talk about that. Dads, we're superheroes. We do a great job, and it's something that everyone should know. And I want, before I move to this next part here, I do want to readjust my audio because I definitely want this to work, because the audio is very important to this. Let me bear with me as I roll through this here. Oh wait, I'm going to try. Have to bear with me for just a moment. I need to make sure this part definitely works here before I do anything. And got that. Okay, and let's see here. I'm hoping this part might actually work. Let's see here, because it'll be a shame if it doesn't. But let me change this part, and going to go. And why is it not wanting to go? It should be. Oh, there we go. And okay. I couldn't help it. I was hoping to time it a little bit better, but with the audio issues, I'm hoping the audio came through. If not, all you're going to see is a picture. I did take this I got this video from Jimmy's mom, Marie, and this is actually Jimmy Smith as a baby. And if the audio didn't come through, just want to let you know that that's baby Jimmy. But I do want to talk about Diaper Diaries. Oh, there it goes. Maybe it's working. Let's do it again here. Okay, that should be enough. Hopefully. Of course, you can never have too many diaper explosions here. But I did want to kind of transition into the diaper diaries and maybe share some things about diapers. I'm a Gen Xer, and I know that in the olden days before my time, I guess the perception was, I got the I am fired. I would think that I wouldn't be fired. I think I'm doing a halfway decent job here. I'm one man controlling this, doing what I can. But as far as diapers, I Gen X, and I don't want to say I was a very involved father. I was a father. I changed as many, if not more, diapers than the mom. Not that it was a competition, but whenever we would go out, I would change. I've changed diapers in the back of cars and bathrooms, you name it. What was interesting, at least for my generation, raising kids, is that there weren't a lot of male in the bathrooms. A lot of male baby changing tables. And so we had to find different things there. And it looks like Jimmy is on here. Damn, I was a cute baby. I'm surprised that you were born with facial hair and well, I guess the no head hair, that part was just normal, but with with a mustache even. If you want, I got those at Glamour Shots. I got those from Marie at Glamour Shots, and I'll be sure to get that video back to you when we get a chance here. But so back then I did a little bit of research, but in the 50s, the idea really was that fathers didn't help out a lot with that, and I guess that was assuming that they had more of the traditional roles where men went to work, women stayed at home and raised the children. So it was a little bit rarer that men would actually change diapers. And then in the 70s, as we moved forward into that and different things were changing, women were up more in the workforce, and there became more of a changing or more of a working with the duties and sharing those responsibilities with raising children. I'd be curious for the folks that are out there, if you can comment, were you a person that changed a lot of diapers? Is it something you didn't do? I mean, and I've talked to people my age group, younger, older, and I have heard guys talk about how they'll never change a diaper. They wouldn't do that. I always found that to be odd because, quite honestly, as it kind of commented here, is that it was actually a kind of a bonding experience. Whoops. Let me pop that right. There we go. Is that it was a lot, I guess, bonding time. And it's weird to say it that way, but it was time I got to spend with my kids. Fun time. They were farting and changing diapers, and and of course I look at it as at some point in time my kids will be changing my diapers. So I'm kind of getting that time built in there. Let's see here. Okay, well, enough of the poopy talk. I do want to move into another area, again affecting guys, and that is the DIY or disaster. And I kind of want to share some stories here. Guys have had it. I mean, we're thought of as the people that are supposed to fix things, and we're supposed to be if something breaks, we're the ones that fix it. I heard a story earlier tonight about a broken sprinkler and going out there and digging it up and fixing it and everything. And doing the home maintenance and home repairs, that's kind of traditionally fallen to men. And I kind of wanted to share some of my stories. Now, before I start, I come from a long line. I shouldn't say a long line. I'll talk about my dad. Again, my past history is a little interesting, but my dad, pretty much raised me. I've shared those stories before. And he had a very interesting way of repairing things, fixing things, which I did adopt some of those things. I'm going to share a picture here, and I need to explain parts of it for some of the viewers. But I offer this as kind of I don't want to say an excuse, but an excuse for why I may do some of the things I do today. And that's kind of my backwards apology to my wife about some of the things I've done. Before I do that, I see a question. Ron Nackman, feces represents care. Yes, in the previous segment. Yes, that is true. Feces do represent care. Let's see here. Jimmy, well, who's this Jimmy guy? I don't know who he is, but what impact do you think a father's absence has on some sons versus daughters, and how does that shape their futures? Oh boy, you're gonna just jump right into it. Well, I mean, all the measurable things that we have, and actually, had I got to play the Ann Coulter video, she actually launched through about 4 or 5 of them. If you go to, of course, the Pissed Off Parent website or the app, you can see the statistics that we have, but they're more likely to drop out of school, get into drugs. Grape is in I think 70% of grape out folks that are in for grape issues. Let's see, not they're financial. They don't go near as far as they can now. And that's just that impacts both children. Now, for girls, not having their father around, oh my gosh, I'm kind of going off the top of my head here. The website has more of the information, but promiscuity. Again, girls, their first love is their dad. And if their dad's not around, they're going to find some pimply faced kid or some guy that may or will take advantage of her, and they'll try to get that fatherly love from that person. And we all know how that usually ends up. But yeah, they're more likely to engage in inappropriate relations with older or just men in general, trying to get that love. Their test scores far worse than if they are with their father. Drug use. I mean, a lot of the same things. Mental issues, because during their teenage years, especially, they need that the father to really teach them right from wrong and keep a firm hand on them, to raise them to where they can be respectful young ladies. And I would argue that if you don't believe me, look outside your window, look on the news, see what's been happening since fathers have been removed from the home. I mean, the evidence is self-evidence. It's pretty much thinking that we don't have inflation problems and you go to the grocery store. It's kind of the same thing. But thank you, Jimmy Smith, for your question there. Back to the DIY disaster and my father. I do want to again offer, before I show the picture, I want to offer kind of a half-baked apology to my spouse for some of the things I do. Hopefully, some things will fall into place. But this is how my dad handled doing DIY projects. That's actually my father. This was probably about 15 years ago. And to explain part of this, I grew up in a small little town outside of Missouri that flooded, I don't want to say maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 times a year. And the water would either get up close to in the house. The houses were all on stills, if you can imagine, like a clubhouse up on stills, 10, 15 feet in the air. And the water, we were, very close to the river, and that would come in there. And anyway, that was kind of my growing up years. So I spent a lot of time, doing water things. But what you're seeing is my dad in a boat, aluminum boat, with an electric saw, sawing down a tree, because he didn't have his gas chainsaw, but he is using an electric chainsaw on the tree, and unsupervised. I think my grandmother took this picture because she couldn't talk any sense to him. And also, we're Polish, and all the things that go along with that are accurate here. But anyway, that will kind of explain some of the DIY projects that I've done. But on that note, I did want to talk about some of the DIY projects that I've done in the past lives. And I may have mentioned it once or twice on the show at different times, but some of the dumb things I did. This picture here is actually from my first house that I bought back in the early 90s. And this was the infamous gas stove, and the gas stove is becomes very important here in a moment. But I thought that I knew what I was doing, and I basically just wanted to move the gas stove out a few inches so I could see behind it and do some work on it, because I think one of the burners weren't lit. I don't remember. It was about 30 some odd years ago. And when I moved the gas out, the gas line, which was old, the house was built in the 50s, the gas line popped. And all of a sudden, it started emitting gas into the air. And so I freaked out, ran downstairs, found the gas line, turned it off, and, problem averted, let the house, air out. But, that was one of my first kind of DIY disasters that kind of come in important later. But that was one of the things I did, the infamous gas stove. Now, this is a picture of a young Dwayne Ward without the goatee. This is me at, I think, 22, 23. So get all your laughs in now, take screenshots, whatever. But again, this is also the first house. And I was proud of myself. I had actually did some wallpapering, put up some thing to kind of rejuvenate or well, I'm using Jimmy words now. I updated the wall because that was what was hit back in the 90s. And I replaced all of the outlets from the 2 outlet to the 3 outlet. So that was one. Another one I did in this house was, and this is a picture of a toilet, and there's plants, a whole other reason, but I decided to redo the entire bathtub myself. So I ripped out the old walls and put new ones in, and I hadn't accounted for a steel stack that was right smack dab in the middle of that toilet against the wall. So I took the gypsum board and put it back up, mudded it, which I did a horrible job at that. I wasn't good at it. And then cut parts of it so it just kind of leaned. It had like a little bit of a bow on that. So that was one of my DIY things. And I basically learned a lot of this from my dad, which if you go back to the first picture, you'll kind of understand how that happened. But a lot of this stuff came from this book. I got this book, I think I was a kid, I was like 18 or 19, and it had all the different ways to rewire, to fix stuff. And that was my Bible. For the folks that aren't internet or that aren't old, before the internet, we had books. That was kind of our thing there, but wanted to talk about that. Another DIY disaster. And again, while I'm talking here, if you have some funny DIY disasters, throw those in the comments. I'll put them up there. We'll talk about them, have a big laugh. But one more for me. I think this is my last. Yeah, this is my last one, DIY disaster. But this is a picture of the backyard from my first house. And you don't see it here, but there was a big tree that was right there. And it was a fairly large tree. And I had this broad idea that I didn't want the tree in the backyard for whatever reason. And I thought, okay, well, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and chop it down and then have it fall where it needs to fall. And, we're all good to go. So I start chopping it, and I get to that part where you hear the bottom wood start to break. Well, and I say miscalculated, I wasn't really calculating. I was thinking, oh, it's going to just turn this way because I chopped it a certain way. But it did have a fork that came out of the tree that made it lean forward. Well, basically it started leaning forward, and then I realized that the power line, the phone line, and that's all we had back then that was in that area, it was right in its way. So silly me, I get underneath the tree, and I'm using all my massive strength to hold this thing up. And finally I went, there's nothing I can do. So I basically ran out from underneath it. It fell over, hit the power line, hit the telephone line, which held this weight for about, I'm wanting to say 3 seconds. And then the whole thing came down, hit the ground, pulled it out from pulled the pole out from the house, knocked it on the ground. I mean, it didn't separate, thankfully, or it would have been worse. But that was one of my, I don't want to say last, but that was one of another doozy for my DIY stuff. Now, I did come back from that. I've done a lot of things. I've rebuilt car air conditioners. I've replaced water heaters. I fixed. It's not all dumb, making mistakes. It was, it was a learning process for me trying to figure out how to do stuff. But I've done a lot of stuff. I mean, even earlier this year, I replaced or I pulled out an engine from a Mustang that I'm repairing. I went ahead and I've done that myself, and so I've gotten good at the DIY thing. I mean, there are moments that I don't do so well, but I've done a pretty good job, and I'd love to hear some other comments in here. Oh, well, you know what? I got Mrs. Ward on here, my lovely wife. You could talk about how great you did with our sink. I was impressed. A great segue, because as a matter of fact, glad you brought that up. Let me pop this. There we go. Okay, so. And she's probably recoiling right now because she knows what's going to happen. This is from one of our inside security cams. I did, when Brandy and I first met, I would say when I first met, we've been dating for a while, and she wanted to change the, let me make sure there we go. Yeah, it's not, okay. She wanted to change. Let me back that up. I don't want to release the surprise just yet. There we go. So when we first met, we had she wanted to change the sink out, and I think the dishwasher, and actually I think I'd already replaced the stove. I mean, I've gotten really good at DIY replacing things. Actually, all those things in there I have replaced: the microwave, the electric stove, the dishwasher, for all the fun stuff, and the sink. Well, when the initial, it was the original sink from 1990 something in this house, and they hadn't set it up right. So when we started looking at it, I went, oh well, I just need to sweat some pipe, swap it over, and then get all that done. And she just looked at me like I was from a different planet, because in her previous relationship, her previous spouse wasn't technical, wasn't mechanically inclined. It's just not something that he did. And so I went in there, sweated the pipe, put it all together, made it work, and got everything done. Actually, I think I did the dishwasher at the same time, and she was very impressed by it. So that was one of many that she did. And I'm gonna go ahead and play the video, because this is the banter that she and I have back and forth. Everyone thinks that I'm an ogre, I'm a mean guy, and all that. I want to kind of, I don't know, what is it? I want to just shed some light on really who that, who's the aggressor. And again, it's fun that we have together. And then, by the way, that was lettuce that was placed in the derriere. And I'll just kind of let that play for a moment, so we can have a little bit of fun with that before we move on to our next item here. Yes. Hopefully everybody is enjoying this as much as I did. Again, this is the kind of relationship that we do have. I know, again, people see the pissed off parent, they see different things, and they make assumptions about, well, who could be married to him, who could this, who could that. But, this is, I would say, an average Tuesday. I think that day was on a Tuesday, but that's our average day. Okay, so let's move on to dad bods. And just the health thing, because again, I think as I think Jimmy talked about this in the intro opener about how we're going to talk about working out. I did a little bit of research on this, probably not as good as Jimmy would do, but I did look at on dating.com. I'm not on there personally. I did the research, but not going there. But they did a survey that 75% of singles, we're going to assume females, they prefer the dad bod. And they listen, the traits attributed to the men with dad bods are the key to the appeal. The dad bod received higher ratings of the evolutionary fitness traits: affectionate, nutrient friendly. Again, that you take that for what it is, but at the end of the day, 75% of people on dating.com, when they were trying to find a mate, they weren't looking for the Don Juans. They weren't looking for the muscle bound people. They may want to have flings with them, but as far as having a relationship or a serious relationship, 75% of them, they prefer the dad bod. I also picked up something from Psychology Today, that in a 2017 survey by Planet Fitness, 78% of women feel men with dad bods are confident in their own skin. I think I would be one of those people. Nearly half of women, 47%, even believe dad bods are the new six-pack. And nearly, oh, I sound like Jimmy. I see, I'm not going to probably give Jimmy so much crap anymore. And nearly 3 in 5, 58% of mothers feel dad bods are the new six-pack. All right, 80% of mothers would be proud to have a husband with a dad bod. And there's other information there, but just kind of giving you a look there. Okay, now while we're talking about dad bods, I wanted to not kind of give people the idea that, oh, dad bod, and they were thinking of the Thor and the later movie where he got all big and fat and disgusting. When we talk about dad bods, we're talking about being healthy. And, I know I'm not usually the go-to guy for discussions on that, so I'm going to kind of talk to you about it from my perspective. And I'll show you some information here, but they talk about, this is according to the science, and we can talk back and forth about that, but this is kind of the accepted science at this point, that when you look at your height and your weight, these are the ranges that that you want to be in. Now, talking about myself, I was actually up here at 270 pounds about a year ago. I'm about 5'10", 5'11" on a good day, if I'm wearing heels or something. But I was actually up in this range, 270. I think I stopped actually counting or getting on the scale at 270. So I've actually may have been heavier. Now, as of today, I weigh in at 195, almost 194. So I'm actually in the yellow range. So it's considered overweight. So I'm still, not normal. I'll be honest, when I did get down to a very skinny weight, I didn't think that I didn't think I looked right. So I'll probably keep it in that 185, 190 range and all that. But I would say everybody wants to, maybe look at that, take stock in, hey, maybe I need to start, walking, eating right. And it doesn't have to be an overnight huge change. I would say talk about, or talk to people like Jimmy or Richie, or there's other people out there, and see about getting an accountability partner and start working on just kind of getting healthier. And that's the big thing, is getting healthier. I know I talked, oh gosh, I don't know how many episodes ago, about some of it. Some of this next slide is I talked about what my ex-wife did to me and how she made me feel, and just how like down on myself I was a lot. Now, I was overweight, there's no question about that, but kind of the links I went to, and I talked about a PowerPoint presentation, a screenshot that I had that I put on the refrigerator, that I would look at and try to do that. I did manage to find that. I wanted to show it here. And again, this is just kind of like letting everybody know. This is back in 2009 and stuff that I wrote. I have no idea what SW or DW means. I have zero idea. I see a plus and a whatever and all that. But this was just a screenshot. And this is me back in 2008, 2009, actually little kids there. And I had, gained a lot of weight. And I had a goal of 220. So I was 220 at that time. I take it back. And I had a goal of 180, which is kind of probably thinner than what I want to be, but that's a good goal. But I was actually 220 at that time. Can you imagine what 270 or more was? But, these are the kinds of things that I was doing, trying to, in a way, motivate myself to get healthier. But again, this was me back then. Let's see. Now, as I said before, we don't want, we're not looking for, the chiseled hot bod, whatever, the getting to that thing. I mean, it could work. I mean, there were people I think Caleb and other people are trying to get back to that rock solid body or whatever. And if that's your goal, that's great. I mean, if that's what you want to do and you want to get to that point, knock yourself out. I'm talking about, I don't want people to be like where I was at, where I was so overweight that I had problems breathing. I was on a CPAP machine. I was on blood pressure medication, and you name it. And I just felt miserable. I don't want to be at that point. I want to get to the point. I want me and you and everyone else to get to that point where we're at a happy and healthy weight. This is a picture of me, my wife, and my heterosexual life mate, Jeff Parker. This is the guy, and I've mentioned him in stories. I've known this guy for, I want to say 30 years. And he is one of those guys that has been a ride or die. He has been with me through every up and down that you can imagine. And I just kind of want to give Parker a shout out, that love him. He's my boy. And he's just one of those guys that he's been a friend to me in the truest sense of the word, since as far back as I can remember. And, he's just an awesome guy, but I wanted to kind of pay a little homage to that. Going to switch gears here again, and talk about Chef. Actually, my wife and I were talking about this because I was being asked kind of what were some of the topics on the show tonight. And I hope these things I'm going to talk about here are going to be done in light of the statements I was making earlier, that I'm not bashing women per se. I'm just sick and tired of men being bashed and talked down to and treated like we're garbage all the time. And if women, if you think you aren't doing it, you're delusional. It happens all the time. I'm personally sick of it, and I will bring the receipts every single time. And I'm not going to be quiet about it anymore. So here we are. And on one of the topics is chefs. And I'm talking about, chefs that are in kitchens. We can also attribute that to, cooking at home. We can get into that if anyone would like to. But I asked the question, who comprises the chefs of the world? And going to Medium, there isn't a whole lot of there is information on it, but this was kind of the quick low hanging fruit that I could pull from it. But Medium had stated here that the top chefs in the world are men, and is the kitchen really a woman's place? They did a little tongue in cheek there. And I did a little more research, and it turns out 95% of all the great chefs in the world are males. It's a male dominated field, I think, for good reason. Oh, I got a question here. Let me back up. Sorry, watching so many different screens. Sometimes I miss the comments here. Let me back up here, and I'm going to answer a few questions or see what we got here. So, how do you think losing weight has impacted your household? Oh my God, you know what, Jimmy? I'm glad you asked that question. This is totally unscripted. No, and actually it is. It's completely unscripted. Hopefully he's enjoying his photo shoot. Maybe he's on a break or something. We'll see. But losing weight, it has been a night and day thing for me. Again, when I was 275 pounds, I'll give you some of the physical. I had problems breathing. I couldn't. I mean, just switch cameras here, so you can kind of see me in all my glory here. But when I was 270, 275, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't walk. I had zero energy. I had zero libido. I couldn't do anything without getting winded. I didn't want to do anything. Everything sucked. I wanted to sleep all the time. I was taking, midday naps at times. It was crazy. My medication was up. I had a in ways a negative out view of the world. I'm one of those people that can bury my feelings down deep and I'm a Gen Xer. I can put on a good face, but inside the world's, crumbling. But some of the things started really hitting home with just the weight. I was on a CPAP machine. I should have included a picture of me in all my in my CPAP glory. But I was to give you an idea of how bad it was before I was on the CPAP machine. I would be sitting down or laying down, and my gobbler would cut the air off. I would kind of jerk myself awake, and that's part of what why you would get a CPAP. You get sleep apnea. When I was sleeping, I was waking up 2, 3, 4, 5 times a night for that. Now I get up because I have to go pee all the time because I'm old. But then I was getting up because I would actually literally dream that I was drowning, that I was having my air cut off, that my wife was killing me in my sleep with a pillow. That may have been true. I don't know. But it was just horrible. But my entire outlook on the world just really sucked. And when I, made the decision to start getting serious about that, because I'm thinking out in the future, what's going to happen when I'm 55, 57. I think I've mentioned once or twice that actually around this time, actually Thanksgiving time last year, my biological brother, who's only 5 years older than me, died from a heart attack. And he had a very unhealthy lifestyle. And he's only 5 years older than me. My father, my dad, he passed away at 67 from a heart attack and a crazy ex-wife. So I don't know, how that's going to work out. But people in my family can live a long time, or they can not live a long time, and a lot of it's based on their health. So I made a decision to start taking a concerted effort to do that also. And we'll talk about in finances. I was spending a lot of money on Grubhub. I got so lazy that I couldn't even figure out what to order out. I was so bored that I would get these meals, and I would eat them and then want more. It got ridiculous. And it was funny. Actually, yesterday, wife and we had lunch with some old friends, and I ate, I think, right about half of the cheeseburger. Of course, I had to get a cheeseburger no matter where I go. That's just who I am. But where we were at, I ate roughly half the cheeseburger, and I was beyond full. They brought out like this big old chocolate cake thing. When old fat Dwayne, I would have ate it plus some. I felt like I wanted to throw up. It was disgusting. So but as far as overall well-being, it's just done a lot. I mean, relationally, it's done well. My time with the kids, being more active and doing stuff has dramatically increased, and it's only going to get better. But yeah, it changes your outlook. And I try to think back to when I was 270, 275 pounds. I mean, I could not believe it. And I see people and I feel bad for them, because I know what it's like to be there. And I want to talk to them because I want to help them. And I know if someone would have came to me and said something, I who knows how I would have responded. But I want to help them. I want them to go, your life doesn't need to be this way. You can make that decision. And again, and again, Jimmy can jump on here or have a show next week debunking all of my bad advice, which he probably will, amongst other things. Actually, this may be my last week on. We'll see. But it's something you don't need to change it immediately. Change from drinking soda to diet soda to then, change to drinking, special water or, flavored water, or instead of, portion your meal out, try to get active. Do these small steps and you'll see some change happening, and hopefully they'll build on things. It's kind of like, again, in finance, you put a little bit of money into it and then you start, moving forward. And it looks like Jimmy's on a roll here. I'm going to answer someone else's thing and then I'm going to come back to Jimmy's. But okay. Oh, who cares about dad bods? You earned it, and so do women, as long as you're happy and living your best life. Yeah, to be honest, that's accurate. At 52, I can honestly say that I'm happy in my skin. I mean, my reason for getting back into, I don't want to say shape, but health. I mean, you saw in the beginning video, but getting back, mine was health. I mean, I'm getting up there in years, and I know that the more pounds that you have on you, that the increases your blood pressure and all those bad things that these are things that my parents or my dad died of, my brother died of. Those are, attributing factors. And I did it to get healthy because I want to be around for a while because I got to take care of these loony bins and all that. But yeah, I mean, really living your best life. And I would say, yeah, don't let people fat shame you in a negative way. I mean, you have people that are going to care about you. I mean, Jimmy saying that, I know 4 fat people and you're 5 of them. And I think it's my joke, done in jest and in fun and with care. I mean, that you should take that advice and definitely run with it if it's done for the right reasons. I mean, guys generally respond to that kind of comedy, that kind of work. I mean, guys busting each other's balls all the time, and that makes us do better. So, but yeah, living your best life. And then you want to make sure it's long, so get healthy so you can live a long life. All right, back to Jimmy. I don't know if I'm going to answer Jimmy's questions, but I don't know. But who is the single most important person who has inspired you to lose weight, and have you properly thanked him with a gift? Also, did you know he's hoping Santa brings him more ammo this year? No, I have no idea who that is. Yeah, no, we'll just move on. I have no idea who that could possibly be. Okay, let's see here. Oh, okay, so let me go back to there we go. All right, so the whole chef thing. Now, I got the data on the 95% men chef, and I was like, I was curious as to why. And I was a little, I don't know, I was like, what the heck? This is when I did an AI search. I was like, are you kidding me? So this was the reason that AI came up with for why it's dominated. And you're going to notice a theme. And again, this is the things I rail against. One is stereotypes. The culinary industry is often considered male-dominated due to stereotypes. Well, actually, it's 95% male. So it's not a stereotype. It's actually true. Lack of media coverage. Women in the culinary industry may not be covered as much in the media as men. No, this is statistical data that you check a box. I'm assuming you're putting the correct gender down, so that's a fact. And then here we go with the woman nonsense. Toxic culture. The culinary industry can have a toxic culture. Really, does it always have to be that? Physical conditions. The physical conditions of working in a professional kitchen can be demanding. I found that one a little interesting because, we want to say equal and blah, why is this? Why is that? So there's physical conditions. So I guess we're saying that men are able to handle the physicality of that role better than women. Hence why there's 95% male in that industry. So interesting. Then, chauvinistic culture. Some say that men have their skills and resilience to survive the pressure of a professional kitchen. So I don't know why they would consider that chauvinistic, or as Jimmy would say, coffinistic. But I'm not busting your balls, Jimmy. But yeah, I mean, to say that it's chauvinistic, that's ridiculous. Now, here's another one that I found interesting. So for the ladies that, gender gap and, you didn't believe the chart that I listed before. Well, here's some anecdotal information listed again from AI. Long working hours. Many chefs work long hours, which can deter female candidates. I'll let that one just marinate there. Oh, I did a dad joke. I'm getting ahead of myself. I did a marinate. I'm gonna let that marinate. All right, good stuff. All right, social perceptions. Social perceptions can deter female candidates? Really? Okay, all right. Finance investors may be more interested in backing men than women, making it more difficult for women to start their own businesses? Yeah, I call BS on that one. Okay, time. This goes into that long working hours. Many chefs work 60 to 80 hours a week, which can make it difficult for women to fit their home life around their work hours. Okay, yeah. Performance art. Chefing has become a performance art where the chef is the host and their name and charisma play a part. So men are okay. And then here we go. The wage gap. Dun dun dun. In 2023, women chefs and head cooks who worked full time made 81 cents to the dollar men earn. It's always just nonsense every single time. I mean, and again, this is the BS that we're expected to swallow and be silent on. Which I'll say now, I won't be silent, and I will say to everyone out there, I'm not going to shut up about it. Facts are what facts are. I'm tired of bowing to this nonsense, and I'm not going to hear the not all women, not all men nonsense either. Okay, let's go over to, oh boy, dads and 3 a.m. wake up call. We've all been there. Well, most of us, I can't tell you how many times I have woke up to the sound of a crying child and sat there for 2, 3, 4, whatever hours, getting him back to sleep. I got 2 bio boys and dealt with that a lot. I've heard so many stories from others. Actually got some funny stories. And it's something that dads do. I mean, and of course, a lot of times we're the ones that are able to put him back to sleep. I still remember we had a guy, young father at work, and this is back when we were still in the office, this is maybe 15 some odd years ago. And he actually fell asleep he was a new dad and dealing with all the sleep deprivation. And he actually fell asleep in one of our meetings. Now, granted, I wasn't running the meeting, so it was really boring. But he actually literally fell asleep. So kind of a funny thing. Now, I wanted to do some research on this and, pull in some receipts and, see how often, who does what, and is there some legitimacy to it? And, maybe it's an area that men need to step up more, or is there a true disproportionate balance of who does what? And I found this article and I just stopped. I was like, you know what? From Cafe Mom. And again, this is the shit that men have been dealing with for I don't know how long, and we're sick and tired of it. But dads who get up with the kids at night don't deserve any praise. I had nothing. I had nothing with that, and I was like, all right, I can't do this because I'm going to get more pissed off than I already am. Okay, let's just swing this around. We're going to go to dad jokes. This is, an area that I like talking about a lot. I mean, again, there's a unwritten rule. I probably shouldn't be saying it out loud that when dads become fathers, when men become fathers, in the hospital, they hand you this uber secret book, and it has all the things to be a dad in there. And there's a big old chapter dedicated to dad jokes. But I'm just like, as a dad, you've always got to be prepared for dad jokes. And I firmly believe this so much that if you go to the Pissed Off Parent app, which is, again, freely available on Apple and Google Play Store to download, I even coded a random dad joke. So when you go in there, I think it's daily, but when you go in there on the front page, there is a random dad joke that you can start your day off with, or if you're feeling down or for whatever reason, you just need a dad joke. You can come here, open the app, get a good dad joke, and run with it. Now, it's probably different because I did take this screenshot about a day ago, but the one listed here is "My seasickness comes in waves." I think it's a great dad joke. All right, so dad jokes. Let's just get right down to it and see a little audience participation here. I got, I think, 4 or 5 different dad jokes, and I'm gonna put them up here, kind of talk about them so people can read them and see if you get them. If you do get it, put it in the comments section. We'll see who wins this. If no one, of course, gets it and they have a lot of time, I'll, of course, read it off, and then you can write that down, save it, and then use that on the water cooler tomorrow. So the first one up here is, why don't skeletons fight each other? Why don't skeletons fight each other? Because they don't have the guts. All right. No one likes that one. All right. This one should be kind of easy. I think everyone probably knows this one, but I had to put it in there just to kind of give everybody a little But what do you call fake spaghetti? Anyone? What do you call fake spaghetti? Yep. See, and the reason why my wife and I are perfectly paired She loves, I can't reach she got me a dad. She loves dad jokes, loves them. This actually, to get her fired up in the right way, dad jokes. It just loves them. The cornier, the better. Loves dad jokes. So I'm in my element. All right. So what do you call fake spaghetti? An impasta. All right. Nothing. Got nothing from nobody. All right. Well, you know what? I got more. Why can't you hear a God, I sound like Jimmy. Why can't you hear a pterodactyl go to the bathroom? Why can't you hear a pterodactyl go to the bathroom? I can't even talk. I need to get some drinkage in here. Well, the reason is because the P is silent. Duh. Of course. All right. Another one here. Did you hear about the cheese factory that exploded? I don't know if you saw this in the news. There was a cheese factory. It exploded. Hopefully some people heard about it. Okay, I guess no one knows why. Getting people putting in jokes. But the reason is there was nothing left but debris. All right, I'm going to change this around so it pops the last one in there. Oh, I got favorite part of the show. Maybe you should, you know what, Jimmy, if you're watching, maybe we make this part of the show as we do corny dad jokes, that do a segment on that. All right, and then the last one, I believe it's the last one here. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Why did the Scarecrow win an award? And I guess we're gonna have a bonus here because the original host, the old host of the show, is demanding to have their dad joke told as well. But to get to mine. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Why? Because he was outstanding in his field. There. Okay. This one is a, let's see, we go back to here. All right. So the one that's in the comments, but I'll read it off for Jimmy here, is why did the walrus go to the Tupperware party? Why did the walrus go to the Tupperware party? Because he was looking for a tight seal. That's a little PG-13. I mean, if you getting right down to it, I was trying to be mindful of the show there. And when I the magazine that Jimmy is on the cover of, that I talked about in the very first part of the show, I blurt out certain words that I think would be offensive to a lot of our listeners, their education level and their maturity level. So I would hope, Jimmy, in the future you could do something similar. All right, let's get to a little more serious part here. And now we got to go from funny to serious. Let's see if I can get this back where we need to here. Kids and money. Let's see. And unfortunately, clicking back and forth, don't have the access to do certain things. All right. So kids and a lot of adults need to learn about money. If you know me at all, you know that I'm a finance guy. I'm always thinking 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever years out in the future. I know at my age, I'm being a little like, ooh, we'll see if that happens. But finance and money are so important to adults and so important to children because you want to teach them early on good money habits. And then if you're doing bad habits, you want to obviously correct them because your kids are watching you, and you want to teach them, better habits than, just spend it if you got it and living beyond your means. And all that. So there's a number of different areas you can talk to when you're talking to your kids. One, you can sit down and maybe work on allowance. I'm from the Gen X generation, and if someone asked me if I got an allowance, it was my dad allowed me to live in his house. So, but I know the importance of allowance. To throw a Dave Ramsey in there, he doesn't talk about allowances. He talks about sales commissions, where they would do jobs like they swept the floor, they would get $1 or whatever, and in the chores that they did, they would earn money for it. And then if we replicate certain political parties after they've earned the money, we would take half of it, call them a bad person, and give it to their brother or sister who didn't do any work. Sorry, I had to get that in. But yeah, allowances, that's something, if you haven't already, sit down, talk with your kids about either doing, whatever makes sense in your family, either an allowance or commissions or services and stuff like that. Another area is borrowing. Unfortunately, with where we're at economy wise, there are a lot of people that are doing borrowing, and that is something like, I personally hate debt. and I have made it a mission to teach my kids and anyone else who will listen to me, which, trust me, not many people like listening to me, especially on this topic, is the topic of borrowing. I talk about interest rates and how it accumulates. And on the Pissed Off Parent podcast about a week ago, I talked about some of the stupid things I've done. And that's the other thing too, is I'm not perfect. I've had to learn how to get better at it, and I'm still making mistakes and still trying to get better and all that. But, and that's where I would say being honest with your kids and telling them, hey, you know what? I made a dumb mistake. I bought a vehicle. I paid list price. I paid a crazy interest rate. I got a Rule 78 loan. I did all these stupid things, or I bought a house. I didn't inspect it, or I didn't get this done, or, but teaching your kids about how borrowing works and that they're slave to the lender, in my opinion, how that works, but teaching them about that so they can make informed decisions. Because I mean, in today's easy credit world, when you walk in to buy anything, it seems like they want to tell you how to put it on credit. If you go in there for new furniture, they don't say this bedroom set costs $5,000. I don't know how much they are because I would never buy that new, but it's $5,000. But if you only pay $100 a month, you can get it for $100 a month. How much can you pay? You need to learn how that works and teach your kids. And, I would, in short answer or short time here, I would go to Dave Ramsey. They have a lot of good information, free resources for teaching kids and teaching yourself. And I would highly recommend it that you do that. Another thing is budgeting. Another thing that people don't like talking about is budgeting. You need to get on a budget and need to show your children how to get on a budget. If they get an allowance or they get money from Dear Aunt Sue or whatever, they have an amount that they're going to keep, they're going to spend, they're going to give away, or however you want to set it up in your family, or however you want to teach them. But teach them so they at least cognitively understand how that works. And you can't just spend every penny you have, and that they need to just learn how to budget, and you should be their teacher showing them how to do it. Also careers, my kiddos, they wanted to be, gun designers. They wanted to work for GameStop, and video game designers. They wanted to do that. And, they saw what dear old dad does for a career and what I make and where my happiness level is and all that. And, trying to teach them about what careers to get into, what's going to be out there in the future. I use the buggy whip analogy that, getting your kid or you yourself getting into the buggy whip career path may not make sense. And buggy whips, we don't use those anymore because we have cars and other things. Teaching them that to, get into a career that they're going to at least somewhat like, and that can earn them the money that they want to make, and then they can build a career out of it. And, of course, you don't want to live to work. You want to work. You don't want to work to live. You want to live, wait, keep backing that up. You don't want to work to live. You want to live to work. You basically want to, do your job, come home, and your family, and those things are where it's at. You don't want to be kind of sitting around. Another thing is cash handling, teaching your kids how to properly handle and store money. Saving. That's, what that means, and having that money there. Credit. We talked about that a little bit about, credit is, in my opinion, a horrible thing. You should not have credit. I know there's gonna be people whining about it, but you know what? Teach your kids your values. This is one of the neat things about having a free society, which kind of where we're at. I don't need to have a teacher or the school or the government telling me how to raise my kids. If I want to teach my kids credit cards are awesome and they need to spend as much money as they can, if I'm that crazy, I should be allowed to do it. I would ask that you learn about credit and teach your kids about credit. Hopefully that credit's a bad thing, and then move from there. Goal setting. You never get anywhere, no matter what it is, financial, physical, mental, whatever, without setting goals. They should be emulating and seeing what you're doing, and you set your goals, show them how you do it, and then they can learn, and you can teach them how to set goals. And again, these are bonding things that we should be doing with our kids. And I know a lot of people on the show may not have their kids all the time. But when you do have them, instead of, slapping them from a video game or Disneyland dadding, teach them things that are going to stay with them. These things will be lifelong lessons, hopefully. And insurance. So another fun one here. Investing. I know it's a snooze fest around the Ward household, but, teach them about how investing works. If you don't know yourself, YouTube is your friend. You have all these resources that I didn't have, and learning about investing, I had to read books. But learn about investing, management, how to get organized, money math. You'd be surprised how many people don't understand math and how the compounding interest works and all that stuff. And of course, taxes. this is one that, thankfully, when I taught my kids how taxes work, and I did a little joke I used about, they do a bunch of things and, they get $10 for it. And you basically take the $10, give them $3 back, and hand the $7 to the kid that didn't do anything and go, well, that's how things work. If you want to do things a certain way. Taxes, the free stuff, everyone, wants things for free now. And they don't understand that it comes from your taxes. You're not getting things for free, and you need to, you want to get taxes as low as possible. I am going to go ahead and do something that's going to probably tick a lot of people off, and it's called real life. Let's see. Hopefully, why for some reason this popped up. I had this thing set up before, and this screenshot didn't happen. Hopefully, there's the X on here. Oh, there we go. There we go. I'm going to give some people some real life here. This is, you can go to usdebtclock.org, and we can talk about the U.S. national debt. In the upper left-hand corner right here, that is our current national debt. That is almost $36 trillion. And I'm going to call both people out, both of our candidates, Republican and Democrat. Both of them they're not doing enough. I mean, one's doing better than the other, and I think we all know who I'm talking about, on lowering the amount that we're adding to national debt. The problem is that we're still going to be under either one. We're going to be adding to national debt. We need to do that. But just for reality, this real life calculator is showing what our current national debt is, and it's scary. And I think more people, instead of looking at TikTok or freaking out or whatever, and going on to something else and this feel good stuff, they need to look at this and acknowledge it what it is, and go, we need to push our quote leaders to start doing something about it. All right, enough scaring you. But you can go to usdebtclock.org and get information on that. Another thing for people of my generation and if you're younger, your generation, I've talked about this a few times on my show, but I'd love to bring it up here because more people need to hear this stuff. Is that, they're projecting, and again, these are projection, which means it's going to be worse, is that by the year 2035, and they're saying 17, it's going to be higher, but a 17% cut in everyone's Social Security. Now, these are entitlements. These are things that Americans have paid into their entire life. And now it's time for us to get them now that we're older. And of course we have depletion of savings and all that, but they're going to, across the board, reduce that amount by 17%. It's going to be more, but I'll be nice and say 17%. And, just to give you a quick example, person's getting $1,000 in Social Security today. In 2035, they're going to get basically $830. And we all know how inflation is and all that. It's the thing is, this is coming. And sitting around and sticking your head in the sand, or believing that we need to be giving money to everybody and doing all this other stuff, and it's all going to be hunky dory, it ain't going to happen. And people need to get off their dead asses and do something about it. I can't do it all by myself, obviously, but people need to get educated and need to be talking about it. Nobody wants to talk about these things. We want to talk about, let's help out this, let's do this, let's do this. Well, we've got to take care of ourselves. We've got to make some hard decisions, or these things will be happening. There's no magic thing that's going to happen. And I want people to understand that. All right. And this is actually pulled directly from my Pissed Off Parent show, but just some other little things. Credit card debt reached over $1 trillion. 60% of adults are living paycheck to paycheck. Very scary stuff. Student loan debt, $1.7 trillion. And no one's going to pay them off. But it's $1.7 trillion. That's insane. But here we are. 57%, over half Americans, don't have enough savings to cover a $1,000 emergency. So if your car breaks down, you're hosed. 57% of Americans can't do that. They're relying on the credit card debt, which is going up more and more every year, to cover it. And that's just, we can't be doing that. Retirement savings. I think this is high. 55 to 64 in that age group only has $120,000 that's in savings for retirement. Two things. One, I think that number is BS. I think it's a lot lower based on just some of the other things I've looked at. And two, our government, the guys that love us and want the best for us and all that stuff, every session they put for a vote a bill that is going to tax heavily your retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, all those things, every session. And I'm telling you right now that the other things that are going on, it's going to happen. So if you're one of those people that bust your ass to save your money so that you can be in retirement and be able and not eat kibbles and Alpo, they're going to basically use the government to steal your money. So these are, and this is left and right. So I'm not pulling punches here. Medical debt as we get older. I mean, actually, the generation. I don't think it's our generation. I think it's the millennial generation is the first generation that is set to not live as long as the previous generation. I mean, before we had all these medical advances that prolonged life and people could live a long time with where people are at mentally and physically and our poor diets and health. The data that we have shows that we are going to we're not going to outlive our parents. I mean, we're going to die before they're passing. But what goes with that is that 40% of U.S. adults have medical debt. And as we get, sicker and all that, we're going to be relying on that more and more on our already taxed, and I said in both senses of the word, taxed and weighted down medical system that's already not providing a whole lot as it is. We've got to do something about that, and we have to demand our leaders make those changes. Other things is that inflation. And it says here 6%. Obviously, this is an old number. We all know that inflation is in the double digits now. If you don't believe me or you're that whatever, go to the grocery store and then let me know your thoughts on that. And I'll be honest. I mean, I know who caused it, because again, I took Econ 101. I really don't care. It needs to get fixed, and that's hopefully going to change here pretty shortly. Rising house costs. Actually, my oldest son and I were talking about that today when he came to visit. Median house price, doesn't matter where in the country you are, $400,000. Again, it's adjusted based on the area, but it's sad that home ownership for first-time home buyers, young couples. I mean, the American home is the American dream. It is the it's the one of the bedrocks of our society, having that home ownership. We can actually own something. We're not like other countries where you don't own anything essentially. And I know there's back and forth with that, but kind of meet me what I'm trying to get to here is that we're trying to young people are trying to own homes, and actually older people are trying to own their homes. They've been priced out of the market where they'll never realize that. And you have to understand that, for the homeowners out there, when you own a piece of land, I understand the whole tax argument and everything else, property taxes. I'm one of the bigger screamers about that. You feel different when you own a home. You have, there's some staying power with that as opposed to renting. But unfortunately, a lot of our younger people and middle-aged people that are going through divorces and all that, they've been priced out of the market. And unfortunately, in a lot of states, mine included, there's no end in sight, and our inept politicians are just willing to fight back and forth with each other and not make any change. They want to do a bunch of nonsense. But that's kind of the cold hard facts of where we're at. Wealth inequality, that's nonsense. And then I'll just leave this up for the retirement benefits. Over 25% of Americans, we don't take advantage of our retirement, and we need to. You need to be putting something away in your retirement. And if you're not, you're going to wake up at the end and not have anything. And based on the numbers I'm showing you, daddy government's not going to be there for you. And I don't know all of you individually. I've seen pictures of a lot of you. You're not going to do good on OnlyFans. I hate to break it to you. You're just not. Okay, final thoughts, and let's wrap this up. Wanted to, again, thank you all for my allowing me to come in here and do my version of the big show. Hopefully we got some good laughs. Hopefully we got to talk some serious stuff, got to do all kinds of things. At the end of the day, I just want everyone to understand that, dads are important. Yeah, boy, I'm pulling Jimmy's here. Dads are very important, and we contribute a lot to society. There's so many things that we do and contribute, and we're looking for equality with our female counterparts. And for the dads out there that are going through different issues, aren't seeing their kids, I want you to stay, hang in there, keep fighting. Your kids are looking for you. And I understand that they may be telling you they hate you. Different things. They don't know your situation, but just know they're going to come around. That time will happen. You just got to keep in there and keep fighting. It's so important. They're going to come around. it's so important that you stay in your kids' lives. And again, we do a lot with that. I hope you enjoyed a lot of our dad jokes. If you put in the comments there if you want to see that as a segment. Again, I currently have no say in a lot of the things that are talked about on the show, and I assume after today's show, this will probably be my last show. We'll see. But again, I wanted to thank everybody for hearing me out. I am going to plug my own show. If you go to the Pissed Off Parent Facebook page, YouTube channel, app, or whatever, I'm trying to find a home for the show that I do. I use a lot of different software, so it's a little different feel and all that stuff. But again, I wanted to thank everybody. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next week at the same time, 6 p.m. Central. Have a good evening.